Hi guys, welcome to the fourth figure review in this series. This time we're going to be looking at the Saucer Pilot Dalek, which is a Crucible Dalek, repainted to have the same colour scheme as the Saucer Commander seen in the second Peter Cushing movie. As a kid, this was my favourite Dalek colour scheme of all time, so it made sense for me to customise a spare gold Dalek into this colour scheme. I was ready to introduce a new kind of Dalek for future film projects, so I chose that colour scheme as a viable option as a good pilot type Dalek. I always had a bit of a thing for red Daleks when I was a kid, so I think that's the reason why I wanted to do a slightly more accurate or new version of the striped red pilot I talked about in the last video. This first appeared in a film called Journey to Zeros that I made in 2011. And that was its only usage in any media until I made the Dalek Khan's Journey, the Time War Revisited video, which came out in March 2012. And that was the first time I'd used it as a major role. And that was a stop motion as well. It has a small appearance in Dalek Invasion of Skaro, where it's the second in command with the new series Daleks that invade the Skaro base. It was going to be used in the rescue that I made with In Time Adventures, or Sean Mozzie. I don't think it would have been necessary to have used it. There was already quite a lot going on in that video. So this was a Crucible Dalek that I customised in about July 2011. And it has all the posability of the previous figure. Obviously for this custom, I used an accurate Dalek mould as the base, as opposed to having chunky Daleks repainted, so it looks more accurate, and it's actually quite nice. These days, if I was to do it again, I would do it with spray paints and then use acrylics for the silver, but back in the day I just used acrylic paints. Here are some pictures that I took of it whilst I was making it in 2011. Before I went to university, I sold all my custom figures. Apart from this one, I'm not really sure why this one wasn't sold. I think it's because it's the one that I was the most proud of, and at the time I only had it for about 2 years. Yeah, so this is the only original custom that I've still got. On the bottom of the base there's some notes written about the customization dates. This was also the case with the Messenger Dalek and the Technician Dalek, but obviously I sold the original versions of those, so I don't have that information anymore, but I can work it out from previous videos. So this Dalek had its first major appearance in the Time War video, where it was the commander of Davros's ship that gets destroyed. He had a squad of assault Daleks, which I no longer have. I've only got the one assault Dalek now. But it's probably one of the nicest things to see in that Time War video. It's nice to see it used as a major role, and I plan to use it in more future videos because it seems a shame not to use it. So in 2011, the rate at which I was producing live action style films had slowed down a lot, and I was doing occasional stop motions but primarily just finishing up the live action film series. And when I did this figure in July 2011, I was very fond of taking a lot of photographs of the collection, so here are some pictures that I took of it just after it was finished. This was also just before my parents moved house to where they live today, and once they'd moved house, that's when I started producing stop motions much more frequently, and I stopped doing the live action films. So this picture shows my collection of new series Daleks before I started to sell them off, before I went to university. Obviously the red Saucer Pilot Dalek is there, as well as the other customs. You can see the bad condition that the blue Oddball Dalek was in at this stage. You just used to get all of its different parts taken off and used on different Daleks for various films. The Saucer Pilot is the only custom that wasn't sold, and most of these other Daleks were sold off as well. I've now replaced most of this collection that was sold in one way or another, talking in 2019. So that wraps it up for this series of reviews. This is all my new series Dalek customs that I've used in previous videos and that I've ever owned. Occasionally in other videos I used short-term customs, so I painted the dome of one of the Daleks black for the Time War video, that kind of thing, but I won't include those in this series because they're not really of note enough. And just to wrap it up, I've got some 360 clips of the other customs from the previous videos here, so I'll let those play out now. It's a really good colour scheme actually. I don't know how well it suits this type of Dalek, but I think it looks really nice alongside the other golden drones. It really stands out as a leader. So in terms of future reviews, if this series goes down well, I'll start looking at the classic series Dalek figures in my collection. Obviously, there are a few more of those, so that might be a longer series. And I'm also working on a few short animations and then one major FA with Sean Mozzie on In Time Adventures, which should be released kind of soon. I'm not going to say a date because I never stick to dates. But I hope you've enjoyed this series and stay tuned for further videos. Thanks for watching.